The HTS News4orce countertops provided by Topstone Fabrication.
Wardrobe complements Kathy's Boutique.
In the headlines, the workers of the Passport Office stay off the job on Tuesday to protest poor working conditions. The Ministry of Education responds to students and parents' concern over the leaked CXC Mathematics 2 paper. And St. Lucia loses veteran broadcaster Winston Springer Sr., who passed suddenly on Tuesday evening. Good evening to our viewers and to our listeners online and also on Radio 100 Helen FM and our partner station 88.5 Sufra FM. A very warm welcome to the HTS News4orce. We are broadcasting in high definition on Spectra Channel 4 and also on Flow Channel 116. I am Kalila Bakr, sitting in for Winston Springer Jr., whose father passed suddenly on Tuesday evening. We have more on this later in the newscast. The management and staff of HTS Radio 100 express deepest condolences to our colleagues Winston Springer Jr. and his sister Janae and the entire Springer family. Thanks for joining us, and remember we are also streaming live on Facebook at HTS St. Lucia Official and the HTS mobile app. We begin tonight with news of further disruption at the Passport Office. On Tuesday, May 23, 2023, the already frustrating situation at the Passport Office hit a new low. Stanley Lucien reports that the workers stayed off the job on Tuesday over poor working conditions.
The tolerance of the staff of the Passport Office has evaporated. The workers reported for duty but did not go to their workstations because of what they deem poor and hazardous working conditions. The president of the Police Welfare Association, Cameron Law, says the workers felt they could no longer continue putting their health at risk.
The members of that department have decided that they're not going to enter the building because it poses a health hazard. It is their right not to. And we, the Welfare Association, knowing and believing that they doing what is in the best interest of their health, do stand by them and give them support. When I stopped by this morning, the members were outside of the building. They are at work, yes, but because of the conditions of the building, they refuse to enter. And it is, I would reiterate, it is their right not to enter because of the safety hazards posed.
Law says he sympathizes with members of the public requiring the service of the Passport Office, but assured that those with emergencies will be attended to despite the work stoppage.
We do apologize to the public for the delay or the halt in operations at the Passport Office, but I know the staff are dedicated, and anybody who has an emergency issue of health and so on, they will be accommodated, and somebody will try their best to assist them in getting the passports to see that, they get the necessary help that they deserve in terms of their health.
The president of the Police Welfare Association says he's aware of a new site being prepared to house the Passport Office, but fears that the progress is too slow.
They are relocating. There is work being done on the building. I think it is a bit slow, but we're hoping that this will speed up and persons could move to a more comfortable location so that the operations of that department could return to full capacity.
For the long-suffering members of the public seeking to have a new passport issued or an old one renewed, the inordinate delay and frustration have just been made worse. There is no information yet on when the employees will return to their workstations or what will lead to them ending their protests. Stanley Lucien for the HTS News4orce.
The government of St. Lucia is moving ahead with universal health coverage. The first phase of universal health coverage will be launched on the 1st of June 2023. That's in about 1 week's time. Maternal and child health services will be the first segment of the population to be covered. The idea of first targeting expectant mothers and their babies is, according to the government, to ensure a healthier population. Joachim Duplessis reports.
Data from PAHO indicates that in 1980, the proportion of St. Lucia's population aged 65 and older was 5.0%. The proportion doubled to an estimated 10.3% by 2020 and is predicted to almost triple to 29.6% by 2060. The Philip J. Pierre administration is preparing to launch Phase 1 of the universal health coverage with special target on expectant mothers. The Prime Minister expressed concern about the ramifications of an aging population on the island.
If you know that St. Lucia, our birth rate is beginning to decline. In fact, it's been steady, I think, beginning to decline. And that has repercussions for the population, repercussions for our NIC, repercussions for the future of our country. So what are we trying to do? And I want to congratulate the Ministry of Health. We're starting the universal health care program at the child level, at the maternal care. So we can have mothers being able to get all the necessary tests, all the necessary examinations so that they can have healthy babies, and we can start from there. It's just a start of a process for our UHC program, starting at that level and going forward.
Pierre says that the goal is to also ensure healthier generations with the rate of NCDs also increasing.
It's said that children's the best time in their life, or the time when all their situations are rectified or made worse, is between conception and it's 5 or 6 years old. That's what it said. So we're trying to make sure that we keep this. We make sure that they get all the tests, because so what you want to do is you want to try to avoid illnesses, avoid them, particularly the NCDs, the non-communicable diseases. We want to avoid them. So if the mothers get their pressure checked, the mothers get their diabetes checked, the mothers get all these kind of checks, hopefully they'll have a healthier baby and a healthier generation.
Commencing on June 1st, expectant mothers are set to receive additional services at no cost when accessing care from primary healthcare facilities. These services include laboratory services and ultrasound services at 17 facilities on island. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News4orce.
St. Lucia lost one of its most decorated broadcasters on the evening of Tuesday, May 23, 2023. Winston Springer Sr., who at the time of his passing was contracted with the government of St. Lucia, providing coverage of Parliament and other official events, took ill and died shortly afterwards. Stanley Lucien reports that the father of HTS News editor Winston Springer Jr. left a long and distinguished legacy.
St. Lucia on Tuesday lost one of its more decorated broadcasters. Word that Winston Springer Sr. had taken seriously ill was received shortly before 7 p.m. There was concern that the condition of the veteran broadcaster was very serious. Moments later, his friends and family were given the grim news that he had not survived. Springer Sr., the familiar and unmistakable voice that had graced the airwaves on the occasion of national events, sittings of Parliament, his documentaries, news readings and commentaries had been silenced. Winston Springer Sr. was an employee of the Windward Islands Broadcasting Service, WIBS, and continued with the success of WIBS Radio St. Lucia as a reporter and later news presenter. He would later be promoted to the post of General Manager of Radio St. Lucia. His career, though, was not confined to St. Lucia. Winston Springer Sr. served in the region and beyond. He was the news director and editor for Radio Antilles, a correspondent for the Associated Press and Voice of America. Springer Sr. also served as the vice president of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. Winston Springer Sr. was the independent producer and narrator of biographical interviews featuring some of St. Lucia's more distinguished sons and daughters. At the time of his passing, Springer Sr. was contracted with the government as a broadcaster. His commentary during Parliament provided clarity and context to the proceedings. His son, Winston Springer Jr., followed in his father's footsteps, now serving as the news editor for HTS Radio 100. Winston Springer Sr.'s sterling contribution to broadcasting spans decades and impacted many in St. Lucia and the region. Stanley Lucien for the HTS News4orce.
The Caribbean Federation of Police Welfare Associations is holding its annual general meeting from Wednesday, May 24th to Friday 26th at the Bellevue Hotel in Castries. The theme for the 11th convention is Building and Sustaining Police Officers' Welfare in the Caribbean for Better Societies Across the Region. Gina Philippi has the details.
External Affairs Minister Alva Baptiste has urged officials to try to make a special effort to attend matters which pertains to the police despite their demanding schedule. The police force has been working with stakeholders to address the spike in gun and gun-related violence over the last few years. Minister Baptiste made the statement in his keynote address to the Caribbean Federation of Police Welfare Associations 11th General Meeting.
The business of the police is the business of the nation. They are there to maintain peace and security in this country. And in whatever way we can give support to the police, we must do so. So it's not just when we give speeches in Parliament, but to actually make sacrifices to be there with them and to negotiate for things that will improve the conditions of work of police officers and equip them more meaningfully to deal with their own business of policing, which is very risky.
Baptiste called on stakeholders to come together to deal with the rising threats of the region and the world. Meanwhile, President of the St. Lucia Police Welfare Association, Cameron Law, expressed concern about officers' increased risk of experiencing violent incidents during the escalation.
Crime directly impacts on the welfare and safety of police officers. So we are going to be speaking on crime as it relates to the welfare of police officers when we go out there. Because, policing is a very dangerous job. And when you leave your home in the morning, you're not certain that you're going to return in one piece. So we will be speaking of the crime situation and how it affects the police force and the police officers and how best, our welfare it could be handled whilst we deal with the crime situation.
Occupational health and safety hazards will also be high on the agenda of the 11th Annual General Meeting of the Caribbean Federation of Police Welfare Associations.
Conditions of work, even salaries and so on, will be discussed. The safety of personnel, the equipment that we work with, whether it's outdated and looking at modern equipment for our police officers. So all of this, everything that pertains to safety and welfare of police officers moving forward on the job will be discussed here. We hope to have a very, very fruitful meeting, and at the end of it, of course, we get an opportunity to present to the Association of Caribbean Commissioners when they have their annual general meeting. So we'll be discussing, and whatever comes out of this meeting will be taken forward.
The government has equipped the police with additional resources, including vehicles and bulletproof vests, and securing the services of the regional security system to help address the increase in crime. The government has also enacted emergency legislation to facilitate police efforts to bring the crime situation under control. Gina Philippi, HTS News4orce.
This is the HTS News4orce. We are due for our first commercial break, but when the news continues in just a moment, the leak CXC Maths papers, plus the Minister for Civil Aviation on the new DIAT proposal. Welcome back. Regional travel is said to be at an all-time low, with the difficulty and high cost of getting from one neighboring Caribbean island to another. The Minister for Civil Aviation, Alva Baptiste, has given his support to the most recent effort to revive the fortunes of the regional airline LIAT. Gina Philippi reports.
Civil Aviation Minister Alva Baptist is in support of regional airline Liat exploring its options to keep afloat. The Caribbean airline has been facing some financial woes, forcing it to close shop and terminate workers in 2020. Nigerian air carrier Air Peace Lagos is expected to acquire 70% stake in Liat 2020 Limited. Baptist says Liat is doing what is necessary to survive in the challenging regional airline sector.
I guess it's just airlines in a restless and competitive search for the solutions to the problems that beset them. The airline industry, I have said so before, and I'm going to say again, is not a profitable industry. We have a geography in the Caribbean that does not lend itself to profit making. Islands are very close together, so it increases the cost of maintenance of the carriers, so really and truly we have a number of factors to grapple with. So for Liat to remain flying, they are exploring the possibilities, far and wide to see how the airline could keep on flying to connect the Caribbean region.
The government has received some criticism for meeting overdue workers' wages. However, Baptist says the criticism was misplaced.
As a matter of fact, it is the support of government that probably sustain it. If there was an opportunity to maximize profits, private airlines would have entered. You see, it is not the barriers to entry that exist today, but the barriers to exit. When you come into the industry and you fail, who you selling the aeroplanes to that has depreciated, significantly over the time that you operated it. And therefore, if there was a magic bullet, a Caribbean Star would have been flying up to now. Caribbean Star came with deep pockets and really and truly could not make any significant profits.
The Civil Aviation Minister says the region must endeavor to keep countries connected via air transport to benefit citizens and economies.
It's just like in the United States. After deregulation, a number of communities were without air services. And so the governments had to come in and actually pump some monies to encourage the airlines to come. And as demand grew on the routes, then that level of subsidy would disappear. And I think now, just the same way we put aside monies for education and for healthcare, we need to take a serious look at the airline operations within our region and ensure that we come up with a model that may not make profit, that may not even break even, but there would be a net benefit to the economies of the various islands.
Prime Minister of Antigua Gaston Brown recently announced that the new venture with Air Peace Lagos will see the airline operating strictly on a commercial basis. He also pointed out that Liat 2020 Limited is presently operating 2 aircrafts and fewer routes, but this will change when the new arrangements with the Nigerian air carrier are finalized. Gina Filippi, HTS News4orce.
One woman is counting her lucky stars following the crash of a minibus into her house. The lady, who's normally seated on her veranda at the time of the crash, was for a change in a different location. The minibus, loaded with passengers headed to Castries, crashed into her house as a result of brake failure. Some of the passengers suffered injury. This is the second time in the space of a month that a minibus lost control due to faulty brakes. The last incident 2 weeks ago resulted in the death of a middle-aged woman. She was hit by the out-of-control bus while walking along Darling Road. She later succumbed to injuries.
On Tuesday, 23rd May at approximately 4:20 p.m., the fire service received a call informing of a motor vehicular incident at Pave in Castries. Information received stated that a minibus ran off the road and crashed into a house. A response was made with 1 fire appliance and 3 ambulances. The responding officers found 9 persons on the scene who were involved in the incident. 4 of the individuals sustained minor injuries, which were treated by emergency care personnel. They were then provided emergency transportation to a medical facility for further care. The other 5 persons involved refused attention and subsequently signed release forms.
So, what will be done about the leaking of the CXC Math 2 papers ahead of the exam? Well, the Ministry of Education in St. Lucia has broken its silence on the matter, seeking to allay the concerns and fears of students and parents.
The leak of the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC Mathematics Paper 2 written on May 17, 2023 has been pinpointed to one location. Investigations by the Caribbean Examinations Council CXC determined that information was disseminated across various social media platforms, reaching other countries in the region. CXC recently confirmed that the examination breach originated in Jamaica.
Since this act is of great concern to CXC, regional ministries of education were all informed. Based on the investigations carried out by CXC through the various security measures employed, they were able to locate the source of this infraction. Jamaica has been identified as the country where the leak originated. In discussion with the Ministry of Education and Youth of Jamaica, the matter will be dealt with following CXC's security protocols.
The leak has caused much uncertainty and anxiety among the thousands of students who spent months studying for the exams. Students will not need to resit the paper 2 as a different measure will be utilized to determine the final math grades.
CXC has determined that for this examination, the modified approach will be used to award fair and valid grades. The modified approach which will be used entails 1. The use of the school-based assessment, which is the SBA, for students at the secondary school, and the paper 3-2 for private candidates, and number 2, the paper 1. This decision has been communicated to regional ministries of education. CXC would like to reassure candidates that the security of the regional examinations is of paramount importance.
Students are urged to make a special effort to sit the next mathematics examination in the next month.
The Ministry of Education here in St. Lucia further encourages candidates to prepare and to be present for the Mathematics Paper 1 examination, which is scheduled for Tuesday, the 13th of June, 2023. The Ministry of Education also wishes all candidates writing CXC examinations the very best.
CXC has not disclosed the parish or examination center in Jamaica where the breach was found. Gina Filippi, HTS News4orce.
The Montessori Center has won the 2023 District 1 Reading Competition, sponsored by Massey Stores St. Lucia. The contest fosters a love for reading and promotes the pastime as an enjoyable activity rather than a mere academic obligation. Organizers hope the District 1 Reading Competition will inspire other students to develop a passion for reading. Jacqueline Duplessis reports.
The Montessori Center emerged victorious in the highly anticipated 2023 District 1 Reading Competition backed by Massey Stores St. Lucia. This contest showcased the reading abilities of 8 and 9-year-old students from various schools in the district.
All of you are winners. The fact that you have been chosen or you have volunteered to be the reader for your school, meaning you are already number 1. So whatever place you may come today does not state who you are, because you belong to the district which is Mr. Joseph number 1. So therefore we want to assure our students that at the end of your performance today, you will still consider to be number 1.
The competition featured 2 rounds designed to test the participants' literary skills. In the initial round, the students had to read a narrative piece and answer questions about the text. The second round required them to read a news item and demonstrate their comprehension skills. The District 1 Reading Competition serves as a platform for students to enhance their reading abilities and engage in friendly competition with their peers from the district.
It makes no sense to teach a child 13 subjects, but a child cannot read. So our whole philosophy in District 1 is, by the time the child is in grade 1, grade K, grade 2, no need to teach 20 subjects. that particular child will be going through some what you call differentiated method of instruction. So if it is 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that may be delayed in their reading process, we are going to ensure that before they leave the infant department, they would have mastered the basic prerequisites. So by the time they reach grade 6, nobody will say that we have students from District 1 entering secondary school and they cannot read. No, that should not happen. If this happens, then put pressure on the education officer. He's not doing his job.
Leading retailer Massey Stores St. Lucia has supported youth education and literacy activities at schools across the island for many years. The proud sponsor of the District 1 reading competition wants to encourage students to read not solely for career advancement, but for pleasure and lifelong learning.
Over the next 2 weeks, employees of Massey Stores will be visiting schools around the island to read, to share, and to have fun. They will be donating books and gifting special tokens as part of this engagement. I use this opportunity to thank all of our Massey team members who have volunteered to be part of our 100 Reading Month 2023, and in so doing, helping to lay the foundation for a love of books, for a love of reading that we hope will last a lifetime.
A panel of 3 judges diligently assessed each student's reading fluency, comprehension, and expression. The Montessori Center earned the coveted first place, the Dame Paulette Louise Primary School secured second place, and Groselet Primary School claimed the admirable third position. The Montessori Center now has the opportunity to represent District 1 in the highly anticipated National Reading Competition. This national event welcomes students from all corners of St. Lucia to showcase their reading prowess on a grand stage. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News4orce.
Still to come in the HTS News4orce. A member of the Antigua and Barbuda Parliament suspended for 3 sittings following bad behavior. And veteran broadcaster Ken Richards dies. Welcome back. Sir Gerald Watts, Speaker of the Antigua and Barbuda House of Representatives, has suspended Asot Michael, Parliamentary Representative for the St. Peter constituency, for the next 3 sittings. Sir Gerald claimed that the legislator was engaging in unparliamentary behavior.
You are going to regret it.
UK Crime Agency.
So let me continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point of my learned friend and the man who I have
Honourable Member for St. Peter. Honourable Member for St. Peter, please leave the chamber.
I said the Prime Minister.
Sergeant at Arms, escort the member for St. Peter out of the chamber. Now.
What? Mr. Speaker, I shall continue, sir. But the member for St. Philip South spoke about the principle of retrospectivity. I wish to point out to you, sir, that one friends...
Move the member for St. Peter out now. If you need extra help, get him. Get him out of here.
Minister disturbed me and said about UK Crime Agency. You did not say nothing to the Prime Minister. I will leave, but the Prime Minister first threatened me about UK Crime Agency. You're a biased man.
I am not having any argument.
You're biased.
Leave.
And you should go home and retire. You're taking up space for young people to be in the honourable house.
If it wasn't so late, I would take another tack. But
bias. Paid political mercenary.
What?
Yes.
Honourable members,
I'm leaving.
I wish to name. Yes. I wish to name the member for St. Peter. Don't take him out yet. I wish to name.
Prime Minister promoted to me and said about UK Crime Agency 3 times.
The member for St. Peter, for what he has just mentioned, the abuse of the chair, and I ask that he be named and that the Parliament decide what should be the suspension, whether A, he should be suspended, and if so, how much. On the first occasion, I think it's for 3 meetings. Please. It's now in the hands of the first occasion is 3 meetings. 3 consecutive meetings.
Jerry, people have said you voted for me. They did not vote for you.
Members
85, you should retire.
Members of
let the younger person
take up the speaker seat. The bias. Finally, you think you didn't pop voted for me. You heard them. Provoking me all day.
If, officer, if he doesn't leave, you put him out.
Absolutely.
You be here yourself. Put your hand on get money, let me know. And I want you to know that you should have got, remember that? 25 years ago. And you post your head.
The day you would run down there, what is the day that run out? Get out of here. No. Members of the House, I've put a matter before you. I expect the action to be taken. What is the action? This cannot be tolerated. Suspension for 3 meetings. That is the rule. For the first offense, 3 meetings. Is that the will in our House? Shall the member be suspended for 3 consecutive meetings? All in favor say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. And the member for St. Peter is suspended from this House and from the Parliament.
Veteran journalist Ken Richards has died.
Veteran Caribbean journalist Ken Richards passed away on Sunday. Mr. Richards, originally from Dominica, worked with the Caribbean World Service of the BBC, Radio Antilles in Montserrat, The Observer Radio in Antigua, and Win FM in St. Kitts and Nevis. He also created OSAR, Old Street Audacity Radio, where he demonstrated his passion for sharing the news and his love for music, Caribbean history, entertainment, and comedy. In a tribute to Richards, well-known Caribbean journalist Julian Rogers, in a Facebook post, said Richards' contributions extended far beyond his achievements. He was a guiding light for aspiring journalists and musicians alike. His wisdom, mentorship, and unwavering commitment to truth and integrity nurtured a new generation of talent, shaping the future of journalism with his invaluable insights. The mark he left on newsrooms and creative spaces will forever be cherished and remembered, Rogers said. Former St. Kitts Nevis broadcast journalist Tony Frederick Armstrong also paid tribute to Richards, describing him as a fair and fearless reporter, a stickler for detail and accuracy, and was relentless in his pursuit of a story. BBC broadcaster Neil Nunes said Richards was known for his commitment to excellence, his editorial integrity and rigor. He was fearless in holding powerful to account. Ken Richards was a proud pan-Caribbean man. He championed Caribbean people, our story and place in the world. Richards was ailing for some time and was in the hospital in Dominica at the time of his passing. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
The Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, DVRP, continues to facilitate the use of laser technology to improve the country's planning.
Earlier this year, the National Emergency Management Organization, or NEMO, facilitated training sessions for its new disaster management platform. Disaster Information Management System, or DIMS, is a digital platform that will be used by disaster management stakeholders. The training is now geared at administrators of the platform.
This time it's the administrative training so that the persons being trained can assist NEMO with the maintenance of the DIMS. The previous sessions were for the people just using the system, but today the people being trained will be able to help administer the system. So to create user accounts, add user accounts, modify user accounts, configure the system to help it be tweaked as needed.
Design of the platform was a collaborative effort of Imagine Solutions and Business Tech Research Incorporated.
It's not just your regular system users, volunteers, various persons at NAME who would be operating the system on a daily basis. This has to do more with the maintenance and the administration of the system on a technical level. So persons managing users, user groups, user permissions, metadata, other core data in the application, dealing with any bugs or any issues that may be faced by the system, and how to record and to report those things to escalate them to higher levels for developers to look at.
The platform streamlines NEMO's ability to deploy resources before, during, and after a natural disaster. This efficiency will save countless lives in the future. This is Jack Hinkson-Compton of the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project.
Antigua and Barbuda continues to boast impressive numbers regarding overall vaccination coverage. That's despite falling rates across the region, even as vaccination in the Americas is being celebrated. Helisha Humphreys has the latest figures provided by health officials this week.
For 2022, the country has a 100% vaccination rate for measles, mumps, and rubella MMR, but a 91% rate for MMR2. The polio vaccination rate increased from 92% in 2021 to 100% in 2022, while the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis vaccination rate increased from 93% to 100%.
There was a tourist that came into Antigua with measles, and that tourist was all over in a hotel. And what was reassuring was that no worker in that hotel contracted that virus.
Despite this good news, Superintendent of Public Health Nursing Almarie Coates says the work to achieve and maintain 100% vaccination rates in all areas must be continued. Nurse Coates also made a number of suggestions for improvement in the vaccination system. The superintendent suggests a move to electronic rather than paper-based reporting and recording of vaccines, reliable internet in all clinics, the establishment of an urgent crisis communication committee and a committee to address adverse events following immunization, the development of a closer relationship with the pharmaceutical body, as well as the strengthening of the Health Information Division unit. Nurse Coast received a swift response from Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Tarian Joseph.
I note the SPHN's recommendations, and it gives me great pleasure to say that the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Environment, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, has already begun to put steps in place to strengthen epidemiology and surveillance, and one would be the electronic recording of vaccines and the persons who take these vaccines and any sort of reaction.
Helisha Humphreys, ABS News.
Thanks for viewing and thanks for listening online on Radio 100 Helen FM and also our affiliate station 88.5 Super FM. And remember, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at HTS News4orce Official. The news is live on Facebook at HTS News4orce Official and the HTS mobile app. And if you want to share information, videos, and pictures, or just let us know what's happening in your community, drop us a line at news@htsnews4orce.org. Thank you for choosing the HTS News Force. I'm Kalila Bakr, wishing you a wonderful Wednesday night. Goodbye.